Q logo. There we go. Let me adjust that real fast. Hello everybody, welcome to another Q&A. A little bit different this time because you might notice that these are kind of compressed in. It's because I'm not editing this. This is going to be raw footage. Just because I've been editing and 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 as much as I like it, it's getting old. So this is just going to be raw. All the all the problems that I have whenever I'm doing these things, you guys get to see it this time. This is going to be an exceptionally long video. I apologize for that now. I will try to keep this short. I asked you guys last week for questions for Q&A, and you guys did not disappoint. You gave me a lot of them, which is good. I'm going to try to cover as many as I can. I got my computers right over here, so I'm going to be continually looking right here. So let's just dive into this. We're going to start with some of the questions on Facebook. Let's see. First of all, Jesse Fortin asked me if I was ever going to revisit the old tip clips. The big question I have for you is, what could I add to them? I honestly don't know. Last time I started doing tip clips on this particular channel, a lot of people were saying, oh, this looks like Tiger's going through the motions, and I had to agree, because I was just covering stuff that I had already covered back in 2003, 2004, 2005, and there's really no new information. You know, tactics are tactics, skills are skills. They don't really change. The game has not evolved so radically that I need to actually go back and redo all those. If you want to see the old tip clips, I'm going to put it down into the description down there, but you go to WDR Archives, which is on YouTube, I think that's what it is, or just search for it as WDR Archives, you'll find it. Everything is up. As far as I know, there's been no real copyright problem. There might be some ads on some of the videos, but it's not attached to this channel in any way. Watch it there if you want to. As a matter of fact, you can also use #1 free online video upload to actually upload the videos as MP4s, so you can take it with you. If you want to see the old stuff, there it is. Some of it's kind of embarrassing to look at now, but then again, everybody who makes videos says that about several-year-old footage. So to answer your question, I really don't have any plans to revisit the tip clips, unless you guys can convince me that there's something I absolutely need to add to them. If there's any tip clips that you want to see now, let me know. But as far as I know, we're getting into really nitpicky part of that. You have to hold your arm specifically like this while you're shooting. Well, what if I keep on? No, you have it all. No. That's getting a little too nitpicky even for me. So if you guys want to see more tip clips, let me know. Let's see here. Will Sparks, when's the Living Legends 5 movie? As soon as it's done. As soon as I get it done, believe me, it'll be on YouTube as soon as it's done. And that's not me being smarmy. That is, I got called into work a bunch of times. I lost a bunch of free time. There's a bunch of other things happening. So I just haven't had all the time. That, and it's several hours of footage that I'm sifting through. And I'm not talking like, you know, one game. I'm talking an entire weekend. So I've got like 15, 20 more hours of footage to look through. It's a bear. But it's an enjoyable bear, so I'm going to get it done as soon as I can. Dan Buckley, he was mentioning in the last video, you mentioned about lack of progress in the last 20 years. If you were given the job of improving and progressing the game, where would you start and how would you proceed? Honestly, I would start with a code of conduct. I would make the players in the leagues sign a code of conduct. And this would cover off-field, what they do off the field, what they do during the season, but off-the-field things. Just to give you an idea, so if they were arrested for drunk driving, if they were arrested for a drug charge, if they were this, that, or the other, I would hold them accountable for that, because what they do off the field also translates to how they're perceived on the field. Doesn't surprise me that one does not exist in paintball, because it is not profitable for them to do so. But that's one of the first things I would do. A lot of the other things that I would do would not be popular. Well, like a code of conduct would be popular, but a lot of the other things that I would do would involve things like, let's see here, limit the paint, limit the technology, change the fields radically to encourage movement, so many things. Again, this could be its own video. It really should be its own video. But all these things are things that players will not want to do because, oh, that would suck. Well, you ever tried it? No, but we know it would suck. Because that's the way paintball is. They just deem that something is full of suck long before they even have a chance to even give it a chance. So, I mean, that's kind of where I would start. And I'm kind of glossing over these because I've got a lot of questions and I don't want to spend half an hour of time, and I'm probably going to end up doing that anyway. Let's see here. Devlin Hyde, in Walking the Walk and Doing It Right, you were talking about military clothing and insignias. What if you're playing a paintball scenario in which the narrative involves a certain branch or operational units like Skirmish Ion involving the U.S. 101st Airborne? Okay, this one I do kind of know, but I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, so please forgive me on this one. But they do cover in the Army regulations wearing stuff for things like reenactments and for acting and for other things like that. You are allowed to do that, as far as I can tell. Now, if I would highly encourage you to please look this up for yourself, because I might be wrong on this. But from what I read, if you are reenacting or you are playing a role in a movie or whatever, that's allowable. But please check me on that one. But if you are going to wear something like that to something like Ion or to D-Day or whatever, at least honor the uniform. At least honor the men who wore that uniform. At least don't disgrace it, is what I'm getting at here. You know, be respectful. And this goes back to another video that I intend on doing, but that's one of those, gotta get it right. Zach Thompson, also on Facebook. All these have been Facebook questions, by the way. When was your first paintball game? 1989. Playing at a place called Paintball Blitz in Gurnee, Illinois. Used a PGP for the entire day, and I shot 300 rounds, hit one person. But it didn't count because I hit him in the face. Headshots don't count. Great. Then the next time I played with a piranha. Let's go to some of the YouTube questions. And you guys gave me a lot of answers in this one. I'm not going to answer all of them. Some people I could tell were kind of trolling. So I'm kind of avoiding that. Let's see here. Rye Guy West. What are your top 5 main guns that you use most of the time? Curious to see what you use the most. If I were to play this weekend, as in somebody were to call me on Friday and say, hey, we're going to go play on Saturday, you want to go? I would probably grab my Tippmann A5A2 because it always works, and that's really important to me. And I would probably grab the Piranha, I would grab the Piranha, except that it's got a leaky seal and I don't know which one is leaking, so I should probably replace them all, just get it over with. But I would probably grab the Phantom and the A5. If I was really in the mood to throw some paint, I would grab my my EMAG, the Airgun Designs EMAG, or I would grab the Airgun Designs TAC-1. Those are the 4 that if I could liquidate everything else, and if I had those 4, I could pretty much play for the rest of my life and be happy. I've got other guns as well, a couple other ones, but those are the 4 that I almost always play with. I really should get my stroker fixed, because that would be the solid standby, but it has some leak issues occasionally too, because I mean, it's a 20-year-old gun. Actually, more than that now. Let's see here. Let's see. What are your favorite Techno Dog 14? What are your favorite fields that you've ever been to? Wow, that covers a lot. EMR is on top of that list. There's quite a few fields I've been to. I was like, oh, this is awesome. EMR is on that list. I like the layout of what was that field in New Jersey? I went to the big game out in New Jersey, the Jerry Braun's field out there. That was a pretty cool field. Somebody's probably like screaming at the screen right now. I don't remember it offhand. There was a place called War Games UK. I had a lot of fun there. Indoor-wise, Dave's was pretty cool because you mentioned Paintball Dave's basement. He thought that was awesome. It's still there. I think it's the world's oldest indoor paintball playing facility, still in operation. So that was a lot of fun. One thing about a lot of the fields that I've been to, the ones that are not just playing airball, the ones that stick out in my mind, because they had personality. There was something there. It wasn't. I couldn't. If I can go anywhere in the country and play the game that you're playing, then that's not fun. Some people like that. I'm not into that. But if you want to be honest, and Breakaway is pretty cool too. Breakaway out in Racine, which is not helping. I'm pointing where these places are. But my favorite field to go to is the next one. Because if you're not looking forward to the field you're going to next time, then why are you going? Just asking. Now, Death Corps Commissar. A lot of people thumb this one up. How do you think the game would be different if you still had to be over 18 years old to play? Honestly, it would be the maturity level. And also perceptions. Because the biggest perception I see right now is that, oh, paintball's this kid's game. You know, it's just for these kids. You know, oh, you're over the age of 20, dude. You know, I've actually had people in video responses, in videos, respond to the videos and call me a pedophile because I'm playing a game of paintball and the opponents happen to be under the age of 18. What did you expect me to do? Do you expect me to not play? I'm dressed to play. I've got the money to play. The hell do you want from me? But I think that would make the perceptions a lot different. I think that would it would bring the maturity level up, and also it wouldn't make me so paranoid. Because I've asked this question before, and I've gotten people say, "Well, my dad's a lawyer," and he said, "No, I actually want cite laws." If I'm laning and I shoot a 15-year-old kid the neck 6 or 7 times, and his mom blows his gasket, what's to stop her from going after me legally? I'm just saying on that. I'm paranoid about that, but I think that would ease my mind a little bit. Also, I've noticed that a lot of times I spent the better part of 3 years getting shot a lot because I was so paranoid. I'm looking down the field at my opponents, making sure that they got their goggles on, making sure they're being safe before I even pull the trigger. And I'm not saying that if you're over the age of 18 that that's going to change, but kids, for the most part, how's a good way to put this? A lot of kids have a feeling that they're indestructible, that they can do no wrong. I know what I'm doing. I know exactly what I'm doing. I've actually had kids yell at me. I'm trying to give them advice. I'm just, shut up. You're just a wreck. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm better at this than you. Okay. But I think that would change. Somebody actually brought up a point to me that if paintball was meant for people 18 and older, then it would be something that for kids to look forward to playing. But as it is now, you get a lot of kids who are jumping in and burning out and then leaving the sport before they're out of high school. That's not right. So I think it would radically change. I seriously, I still think it would be for the better, but you can't unring the bell at this point. So we got that. Some of these questions are stuff that I don't know about. Darwin Zed, how do you pronounce this? He was asking me my opinions on a player assaulting a ref at the Millennium event, and I don't know anything about that. I don't keep up with that. It's not. But he said he's saying he got like an 8-year suspension. The guy who did the assaulting. Well, if you're gonna do something boneheaded and stupid, you get what you get. Are you making it to Vipers Canadian Carnage in Canada? Curdy Bear original? No. That's money I don't have. Sorry, dude. Let's see here. Too Tall and Co. Too Tall Nico? Too Tall Nico. What is the craziest weather you've ever played in? A blizzard. Many years ago, playing in a blizzard. That was insane. Quite literally, as we were playing, we would play a field over here. We'd go play this field over here, and we'd come back, and you wouldn't know that a game happened on this field over here because all the tracks were pretty much covered in snow. That's how hard it was snowing. And we're using CO2. So nobody's getting any shots except for the guys. The guy who had the SMG-60 was getting shots because he was using a siphon tank. And anybody using 12 gram, which I think I was the only one. What I did is I took 2 of those hot hands things, you tape them together and you stuff 12 grams in them and you stuff it in your BDU pocket. So you get maybe 10, 15 really good shots. But that's pretty much it. That was crazy though. That was also the popsicle incident. Some guy using a VM68, he shot his gun a whole bunch of times and he broke by paint in the barrel just all over the place. And what he did was he couldn't get it out with a squeegee, he couldn't get it out with a stick. We ended up getting a dowel rod, the old fluffy swab kind of things, and pushed the barrel down like this, and the entire thing came up. You ever seen those orange push-up pops? That's what it looked like coming out the barrel. It was just one solid mass, this long. Amazing stuff. A couple of trolley questions here. Opinions on stock class pump versus open class pump from 11. Pump it up. Yeah, that's what it is. Whatever turns you crank. Honestly, I play stock class when I'm kind of brokish. It's the truth. But some people prefer playing with a hopper pump. Some people prefer playing stock class. Whatever. If you're out there playing pump, you've already you're making the point as it is. At that point, it's just a matter of preference and how much money you got really to throw. And the same thing goes for people who are buying, $700 pump guns. If it makes you happy, go for it. I'm not going to say anything bad about that, because you're willing to do that. Druidic Rifleman. What happened to paintball mines? Do you like them? I've actually kind of been having this discussion with somebody else on another forum. A lot of the MilSim guys are rediscovering a bunch of stuff that we kind of abandoned many, many years ago. Things like tripwires and mines and paint grenades and launchers and things like that. At that point, save the money, buy yourself another case of paint, and just shoot the guy. The biggest problem with mines and tripwires and things like that is, in my opinion, the danger level. Because now you're putting something on the field that somebody can trip over, fall, hurt themselves on. If it's a tree stump, that's one thing. If it's something you planted there for them to trip on, it's another. And there used to be a whole bunch of rules for stuff like that. I don't know if they still exist, but you never know. Who knows? But no, I'm really not much of a fan of going that far into the MilSim thing. That's the whole genesis of the Tactical series, actually. Let's see here. TDM195. When you play rec ball, what is the ratio of experienced players to new players, and how do experienced players treat them? Depends on the day. If you're going out for a special game, it's mostly experienced players with a couple of new guys. If you're going on a walk-on day, it's going to be mostly new guys with a couple of experienced players. I find what it is, a lot of people think, oh, well, I'm not going to go play paintball. I'm not going to go to this field unless it's something special, like a big game or a scenario game, which is kind of stupid. But what I've noticed is that a lot of times, what the experienced guy will do, at least the people I hang out with, okay, I'm the experienced guy and I'm surrounded by a bunch of newbies. You know what? I'm gonna let them do their thing. I'll help one side or the other, but I don't see a reason to take the reins and tell them what to do. They paid money to be here just like I paid money to be here. Why am I going to ruin their perfectly good time? Now, if they look at me and say, hey, what do we do? I'll offer some advice. But I don't see a reason to, start barking orders at people or whatever. That's just useless. So, I mean, that's my experience with that. Let's see here. I think I've already answered this guy over here. Most reliable gun, still Tippmann's. And no, they haven't paid me to say that. I seriously, I've seen people run over Tippmann's with cars, with tanks. I've seen people throw them on windows. It takes some extraordinary circumstances to break a Tippmann, like haunted buildings. I think I've been over that story, though. Let's see here. Santa 6688. How do you feel about the public perception of paintball, and do you want to see it changing positively or negatively in the future? Is this perception even warranted? I don't see it being much different than what it was way back when. The perception hasn't really changed. What paintball has been trying to do is force it into people's faces and say, look at us, we're cool, we're extreme. And that doesn't work. What you really need to do is you really need to just put out a positive attitude, do the things that we've done, things like, charity events and so on and so forth, and people will find us. That's just kind of a cool way to do things. And here's where we start having fun, because these are the newer comments that I haven't actually really read all that well. Can you tell me which woodland camo gear I should get for paintball? Woodland camo. It's the BDUs. They're pretty standard. If you're looking for gear to play in the woods with, things that I would recommend, knee and elbow pads, definitely. Shoes or boots that have ankle support, because I've rolled my ankle and I've actually gotten a medial malleus fracture in my left ankle from rolling it by wearing the wrong shoes. Oops. And beyond that, it's just a matter of personal preference. Some people like wearing the neck guards, some people think that they need to have chest guards, whatever. Just get yourself a BDU jacket. That's all you're ever going to need. A bunch of random numbers. 1816, yeah, whatever. I have a Tippmann 98, but I was thinking about buying another gun in order to have the benefits of higher performance with low cost. Considering buying a pump gun, what should a newbie do? Buying a pump gun as a secondary gun is kind of, it's kind of a big step in the case of you're not going to be able to throw paint. So now you have to actually play the game a little bit smarter. And a lot of new players get really frustrated because the tactics that they've learned for the first couple of years or whatever are now completely thrown out the window. So if you're ready to take that step, yeah, pump gun's going to be fantastic for you. If you play pump for a year and then pick up your semi again, you're going to find yourself a completely different player. Absolutely completely different player. If you do go the pump gun route, I would suggest trolling eBay, and you're looking for tracers and tagmasters, which go relatively mostly inexpensive. You can get used phantoms, relatively inexpensive. The hell? Oh, we're good. We're good. You hear loud explosions. What's going on? As far as other guns like that, if there's something wrong with the Tippmann, then buy a gun that'll fix those problems. And I've harped on this many times before. I see a lot of people that they buy the, oh, I'm going to go get this latest and greatest gun, and after about a month, oh, I hate this thing. Well, why did you buy it? Well, because I thought it would be better than my Tippmann. Well, what was wrong with your Tippmann? Oh, it's too long. Once you figure out what your problems are, then purchase stuff to fix those problems. I've been over this before. Let's see here. Mr. Eric Paintball. One of my good friends that says that paintballers just want to be military people, and you play paintball, you should just go into the army. That's funny. That's funny. And he also says that paintball's in no way a sport. Well, no, paintball's not a sport, it's business. I have to agree with him on that. But, yeah, I always kind of find it funny when I see a bunch of guys who are mil-simmy, way over the top mil-simmy. I'm not talking, if you see somebody going out there with an X7 that's modded out to look like an AK, okay, that's one thing. But then you put on the tack vest, you put on this, you put on this, and this. At what point do you just overkill it? But a lot of these guys also, interestingly enough, would never make it in the Army. They couldn't, just because they don't have the discipline. So I would highly doubt that people back in the 80s, I could kind of see that attitude of if you're playing paintball, you might as well join the military because that's kind of what they wanted. But these days, not so much, because I don't think it was written in any Army manual that you should do a move that would sacrifice yourself for the embetterment of the goal. I don't think anybody would willingly do that, but in paintball, that's common. So there you are then. 6'6" Blood Brother. Do you really think all tourney players are a-holes? Another video. We'll cover that one. Suffice to say for now, though, that that would be kind of like saying that all stereotypes are true. No, I completely understand that there are a bunch of nice tourney guys out there. I know, I've met them. I've run into a bunch of guys who happen to play tournaments who are not bad people. But the truth of the matter is that when somebody starts strutting their stuff, saying, hey, I'm a tourney player, I play D2, I play D1, I play D4. I'm the best guy on this field. I'm not even going to open that can of worms with you, bro. Just grab your gun and your 5 cases of paint. Let's go play. Local Jackass, what's the best play you've ever pulled off in a big game scenario or walk-on day? I really don't have an answer to that because there's no best. Because there's stuff that worked at the time that would never work any other time. And there's stuff that you always do, but in this particular case, it happened to be the game winner. You just don't know. So I really have a hard time saying, oh, this is the best moment of my life. Because to kind of go back to what I was saying earlier, if you've already had the best moment in your life, then what do you have to look forward to? So the coolest move I've ever done in paintball, something I'm going to do in the future. You don't know. Let's see here. What are the different kinds of, from Hakkasan? What are the different kinds of terrains you played on, and what were your favorites? Played everything. I played damn near everything. I played deserts, I played indoor, I played outdoor, I played woods, I played in swamp, I played rain, played in snow, played in astroturf, played on carpeting. Carpeting. There's a guy in Canada who I will not give you his real name, but after Skyball he became known as Rugburn. That's all I'm going to say about that. What's my favorite place to play on? Still has to be woods. Has to be some good mid to old growth woods. Big, you know, I'm not talking trees, I'm talking trees. Still my favorite to this day. Rolling hills, natural terrain, not a lot of stuff thrown out there. Although I have played one field that it was mostly natural woods, and then there was just like this one car, just in the middle of nowhere. And that became a focal point because, hey, that's the car over there, so everyone wanted to hide behind the car. But the great thing about if people hide behind the car is that they would get so focused on trying to hide behind the car, you could like sneak around. It was awesome. I like that. Let's see, some of these I've already covered before. Let's see here. Somebody asked me, I don't know if you mentioned it, but what do you do for a living? I don't like answering that question because it's, you know, I know you guys want to know everything about a guy. You know, we're fans of the show, we want to know everything about you. But I'm not comfortable talking about that. So catch me another time, maybe. Maybe. Jamie! Hey, Jamie. How many McGangbangs have you ever had? And does McDonald's know what it is? I've had several McGangbangs and they don't have a clue. And if you guys don't know what a McGangbang is, I will do a lunch break specifically to show you a gangbang. Specifically to show you a gangbang. Cowboy836, what do you think if all fields allowed gravity-fed hoppers for walk-on play? I thought they already allowed gravity. Oh, only gravity-fed hoppers instead of power-feed hoppers. It would change the game, and a bunch of people would complain about it. I don't have a problem with it. Of course, I couldn't use my A5. Because technically it's not a gravity hopper. It's a mechanically hopper. So I wouldn't like it too much from that aspect, but I got other guns I could use. Not a problem there. People ask me to do specific tech shows. I'm not really the tech guy. You really don't want me to give you tech advice because for me, I mean, somebody actually a long time ago was mentioning that he's used to people like Cockerpunk who will go into the specifics of how a gun works, and my opinion is, it shoots. I'm happy. So I'm not really the most technically inclined. I think I'm technically reclined. Favorite paintball mark I've ever owned over the years? Actually, that would be the Stroker. The Stroker, and this is Sword and Snipe. The Stroker is still my favorite gun I've ever owned. I still have it. It's just last time I tried it, it's just leaking down the barrel. I just need to get that done. What is the newest gun by dated manufacturer you own? That would be the A5. A5A2. That was the last gun that I purchased ish. Triple Timex. Well, this is getting really long. Sorry, guys. Triple Timex. How do you choose a proper camouflage for a given environment and game style? That actually does deserve its own full show. But to kind of cut it brief, what I do is I have summer camouflage, which is mostly in greens. I have a fall-spring camouflage, which is mostly browns with some green in it. And then if I'm going to go play paintball in the winter, I'm going to go snowboarding instead. However, choosing the camouflage, it's a little bit of theory on knowing how camouflage works, and knowing your area, and knowing the field that you're going to be going to. If I was specifically going for full camo effect, I would not wear the same thing to the Siege that I would wear at Breakaway, which are two fields that are in the areas and we go, oh my god, you know that. Everybody else isn't going to know. But these are fields that are maybe 45-minute drive apart, and the camouflage can be completely different. So that's just something to keep in mind with that. But that should probably be its own full show, how to choose camouflage, because there's a lot you can do without actually seeing the field. Some people are asking multiple questions. And I should answer those another time. There's a lot of questions on here. Could you revisit a review on a DVD called Tactical Paintball from Nate Be Like? Starting to think people are trolling me at the end of these. The Snarky Show. Do you like dogs? I am so not even going to answer that, jackass. Hackasam. Do you think you would ever open a field and run your own paintball field? Well, why? Do I have too much money and way too much ego? Do I have too much self-esteem to go around? Running a paintball field that's like one of those bar dreams of you got a bunch of guys who are drinking, they get drunk, and dude, it'd be so cool. We could open our own bar. It would just be awesome. And then when you wake up the next morning, you're like, why did I even think that? That's what running a paintball field is like, honestly. So many people want to come in, everybody wants a deal, the tournament players want a deal, this guy wants a I don't want to put up with the headache. I don't want to put up with people like me. But I know this. Favorite event that I've ever played at? Again, the smart aleck answer is the next event. But the real answer is a lot of them. There's a whole bunch of events. I mean, I can't point to one thing and say that was the perfect, ultimate Uber event. I can't. There were a lot of events that I would love to go back to now. Obviously you can't, but I mean, I'd love to go back to the Bash. I would love to go back to the old Sam's games from like 94 or 95 when they had 800 people. I would love to go to the old world record game and actually have a full night's sleep before I played it. I would love to go back to, hell, some of the recreational games. I'd love to go back to Splat Zone Survival and Mankato, but that's just not going to happen. So it's really hard to just kind of look back and say, yeah, this is the best event I've ever been to, because they've all been good. I mean, the sucky ones, yeah, there have been a bunch of those too, but I'm always looking forward to the next event. You know, I would rather be on the road chasing horizons than looking in the rearview mirror and looking there. Not fun. And the last one from Old Pump Fan. Last one. What advice would you give to a new team that wanted to play pump stock in open class tournaments? Have a sense of humor. You're gonna get shot up. You're gonna have a bunch of guys. Nobody wants to lose to the pump team. Nobody wants to lose to the pump team. People will wipe and cheat blatantly before they lose to a pump team. They will have a 3-for-1 pulled on them rather than lose to the pump team. I'm just saying. But if you have a sense of humor about it, you just kind of take everything with a grain of salt and just kind of laugh it off of like, okay, fine. If you don't go with the do not go with the emphasis on winning. Go with the emphasis of saying, hey, we can hang with the big boys with bad equipment. Bad equipment. We can compete with you on a level that you're not ready for. And yeah, you're going to get your butt handed to you. It's part of the game. So there you go. All right, that's everything. Wow. And how long did it take me? Ugh. So if you hung around this long to watch the entire video, I thank you guys for that. I'll put links down there to the stuff I said I was going to put links to. If you've got any other questions, or if you say, hey, you know, do a full show on this thing that you kind of glossed over in the Q&A, I'm more than happy to. Just leave comments down below with all that stuff. You know, head over to Facebook, leave some comments over there. I do read all the comments on Facebook. I don't reply to them all, but I do read them all. So thank you guys once again. We will resume normal programming as soon as possible. And I've actually got a couple ideas for that. I've got one product I want to show you guys, so it'll probably be a Tactical by the end of the week. So I'll catch you guys in. And I suppose we should like go out with the logo here real quick. So yeah, logo, right. Good night, everybody.